Battlefield 1 is so fun with the hardcore modes. I was playing BF1 with viewers this Friday, but they wanted to see me do hardcore instead of normal matches. And let me tell you, Battlefield is really good within the hardcore rule set. The game stops being played as fast as it usually is played, since every shot has increased damage by 200%, and the spawn points on some servers are exclusively limited to a backline of the map, so you're risking yourself some walking if you just rush out after getting to the front line. It reminded me of Hell Let Loose so much, and yes, I do understand that Hell Let Loose is based on World War II, as Battlefield 1 is based on World War I. However, in my opinion, I'd dare to say that Battlefield nails different aesthetics of the World Wars in addition to some fine, eye-catching details, while Hell Let Loose is more raw, which a lot more people like, and that's perfectly okay. But that Battlefield aesthetic with the hardcore mode brings the game to a very enjoyable, immersive state of realism for me. Especially if you take a second to plan out your next move instead of doing it the original no-brain rushing style. And yes, I admit I am guilty of that. My Ooga Booga brain does not let me think properly in Battlefield and COD games. Yes, that's true. So, there are two hardcore modes, and I'll explain both in a second. One mode is called Hardcore, and the other one is called 200%. Hardcore is the more hardcore mode with almost no UI, aka it's only you and your gun on the screen. The spawn points on the server are almost always in the backline, forcing you to be more careful with your decisions so that you don't die. The hardest thing of all for every player is that the friendly player markers are only visible in extremely close proximity, so there is some team killing involved in each game. Lastly, the damage is obviously increased. Each bullet, shell, or strike will deal 200% damage more to the original game's damage value, resulting in more weapons being one shot, especially to the head. And to add to that realism bonus, the vehicles only have first person. Similarly, the 200% mode is, let's say, an easier kind of the hardcore mode we just talked about. The 200% mode is almost identical to the normal Battlefield games, yes, kind of. But the differences are that, as in hardcore mode servers, the damage is also increased by 200%, obviously, hence the name, and vehicles are exclusively in first person. Those are all the key things for the 200% servers. They are basically an easier version of the hardcore one. We played both modes. To be frank, the immersion is better on the hardcore servers since you have no visual references on your screen to almost anything, just like in the real world. But unfortunately, not that many players play that mode. The popularity on the hardcore servers is about 60 to 100 players daily, meaning you will only find one populated server per day for the mode, and I must admit, I kind of understand why for a new player just starting with the hardcore mode, not being able to recognize friendlies from the enemy would be really frustrating. And as the world is turning IRL, people do have shorter fuses for things, aka they don't have the patience or the time to get into this mode and learn all the outfits of the enemies, especially the casuals. And that's why, on the other hand, if they're looking for something similar but more easy, there are the 200% servers, which blew my mind on the server browser, since the 200% servers have a player base of 5 times more players, at least in Battlefield 1, than the hardcore mode that we were playing originally on the stream at the start. And that's all resulting in around 500 players more playing the 200% servers daily. And with that, I think those servers will be unable to die for the next few years, definitely. As for the hardcore mode, it might have a bit of a struggle. However, as for every game, there will be fanatics that will love the mode, and you know, they'll love it for what it is, and they will not let it die. Talking about the immersion, there were a couple of pictures painted in my mind through the stream, and those are mostly comparisons of Hell Let Loose to the BF1's both hardcore modes. I love Hell Let Loose, and I would love to play it again if the game wouldn't crash for me, but outside that, Battlefield Hardcore brings something else into the picture regarding Hell Let Loose. It brings all different types of tanks, other heavy vehicles, more light vehicles. It brings 4 different types of planes, and it brings even horses. The vibe, because all of that makes the game feel more alive. I understand that's not how war might have been, but it definitely brings more joy to a casual player like me looking to play something filled with people and, you know, something that I can immerse myself with. Looking at the total picture and the eye-catching graphics, BF1 Hardcore mode really did a good job for me. So, in the end, trying out Battlefield 1's hardcore modes was honestly a breath of fresh air. It gave the game a completely different rhythm, one that's slower, more tactical, and way more immersive than the run and gun chaos I was used to. Whether you're a die-hard fan of realism or just looking for a new way to experience the battlefield, I genuinely recommend giving these modes a shot. Even if it's just for a few rounds, you might walk away surprised like I did. And thanks to everyone who just joined the stream and pushed me to try it. You might have just helped me fall in love with BF1 all over again. That's it. Later.